Hello and what is up everyone, it is Hachi from the Art of Dota, and in this video I'm going to be telling you guys 5 common mistakes that players make while calibrating that has the potential to just absolutely wreck your MMR. So you got to make sure that you avoid making these mistakes at all costs, so stay tuned and pay attention because you do not want to be the guy that after playing 10 calibration games loses 1000 MMR. No one wants to be that guy. So moving on to the first mistake that people make, it is queuing at bad hours for your time zone. You want to avoid queuing at weird hours, and that includes really late at night, 3 to 4 a.m., something like that, or just really early in the morning, just like 8 a.m., 7 a.m. Who plays Dota at that time? Except for some maniacs. I mean, I play Dota at that time all the time, and I can tell you there's a bunch of maniacs. So make sure that you queue at the peak hours for whatever your region is. And that's usually like, past noon to roughly 1 a.m., something like that, maybe 2 a.m. even, depending on if it's like a weekend. People are not going to have work or whatever, so they're going to be able to play Dota a little bit later. But just make sure you play at good hours. And the reason for that is because of the way the new calibration system works, it really takes into account the fairness of the game. So it's mainly based on win rate, of course, but it also takes hugely into account the fairness of the game. And it just so happens that games played at really weird hours are just gonna be unfair because there's just less players playing. So the way matchmaking works is they're just gonna try to find a game to the best of its ability, and even if that has to be a bit unbalanced, they're gonna do it so that you don't have 3-hour queues. And this definitely happens if you're higher MMR, but it also can happen if even like Ancient or something like that. If you're playing at like 4 a.m., no one else is playing, it might just put you with like a Divine player, or maybe put you with like a 6k all of a sudden on like one side, and there's like a 6k on the other side, and you don't know what's going to happen in those type of games. They're always super unbalanced, and in addition to the way the calibration works, taking into fairness, who knows what the fairness of the game is? That's up to Valve. And we're going to avoid that. You want to play fair games, so make sure you play at peak hours. Now moving on to number 2, it is drafting bad heroes. Now this is a mistake that a lot of people make, especially at the start of the new season, because they just weren't sure how it worked. But I'm going to tell you right now, playing Zeus, playing Oracle, playing Skywrath Mage to maximize your damage, or playing Alchemist to maximize your GPM, none of that matters. What matters is the win. So you do not want to draft these heroes that people abused in the previous, seasons of calibration, just because they would give you good stats and effectively, allow you to calibrate higher. None of that is taken into account in this season, season 2. So make sure that you just don't do that. Avoid those heroes unless, of course, the situation calls for it. Like if you're really good at the hero, or it's a really good hero for the game, don't just spam these heroes that people did in the past to raise their calibration, because that's not how it works. And in addition, I'm talking more about drafting, is you want a well-balanced team lineup. If you're like the last pick in your team and your team doesn't have any stuns, don't pick a hero with no stuns for your last pick, because then you're not going to be able to kill anyone, and the game is just going to be super awkward. If you have no pushing, don't pick another hero that just only does team fighting, because it's going to make ending the game extremely difficult. Like, even if you have like the best late game lineup in the world, but none of your heroes actually push towers, it doesn't matter. It's going to be super hard to end the game, because you actually can't take objectives. Most heroes that don't push very well also don't take Roshan very well. So make sure you have a well-balanced team lineup. And of course, if you're forced like first pick, try to pick really versatile heroes that are able to fill a lot of roles. Don't pick a super niche hero for your first pick and then, make your team get stuck with a bad draft. But also at the same time, make sure that you pick heroes that you're good at, because you don't want to just pick a good hero for the game, but then you can't have good impact on the hero because you don't play it well. Pick your best heroes, pick heroes that you think that you will have the best chance of winning with, at the same time, don't pick those heroes regardless of your draft. Like, don't just straight up ruin your draft because you're an only Huskar player or something like that. You know, maybe you have to learn another hero. If you actually can only play Huskar, well, that sucks for you. But moving on to mistake number 3, and it is not communicating with your teammates. Now, this might seem obvious to a lot of people, and it is obvious because this is actually a big thing. Again, these are common mistakes. So the big thing about Dota is sometimes you're just owning the game, right? You're owning the game, and then your team just stops communicating. Everyone just starts like playing like a robot, and they just start autopiloting, and all of a sudden you just throw your big lead because no one is communicating. I did notice increase in communication during my calibration games, and just recently in general. People are trying hard because they don't want to ruin their MMR. But if no one is doing it in your game, you got to be the one. You don't have to necessarily use mic, but you could type in chat, use chat wheel, and keep your team focused on the objective. Keep them focused on winning the game. It doesn't have to be much. If your team is just randomly just farming and splitting up and getting picked off all of a sudden, even if you had a lead to start with, and I'm just using that example because I'm sure you guys had that happen in your game where your team was just owning and then you just stopped playing together as a team. Like, you won every lane, but then the enemy team is actually communicating. They're going for smokes, they're going for ganks, and then you just throw your lead away. And you can be the one to avoid that by just pressing enter, typing to your team, telling them what to do. And if they don't listen, that's too bad, but you gotta at least try. Some people are just not cooperative, but if you at least try, especially with the new calibration, they're a lot more likely. There's some people that actually just don't care. They're just crazy. They don't care. They're down to lose 1,000 MMR. And you can't do anything about that. But a lot of people, they do care. And they might not want to be the one to step up and do it themselves. But if you do, you're going to have a higher chance of winning those hard games, or, again, not throwing your games. So it works both ways, right? So if you're having a hard game, communicate. Try to get something going. If you're having a good game, everyone's owning, try to make the calls that are going to avoid throwing the game, right? Now, okay, moving on to number 4, and that mistake is instantly queuing after your last game. And this kind of goes a little bit with number 1, which is just playing at bad hours. But the reason why you want to avoid instantly queuing or just playing your games all in a row, and this is a mistake that I actually made myself during my calibration, is because when you instantly queue, it will just effectively give you a higher chance of having more unbalanced games, especially if the game that you just last played was a bad loss. There was throwers, there was just people that weren't trying. There was, in general, a bad game, and you instantly queue after that. If combined with playing at bad hours, but even if not, sometimes, especially at higher MR brackets, it doesn't have to matter how many players are actually playing. There just aren't that many players playing in general, even at peak hours. You're just going to end up in the same group of players over and over again. And you want to avoid that during a calibration because you never know what's going to happen. Some players just match up better against others. Sometimes the higher MR players are supports, and then on the other team they're cores. That's what happened in my game, where I played against higher MR cores. I was support, and it was really difficult for me to carry the game when I was a support player. There's only so much I can do, and my cores are just thousands of MMRs less than their cores, and I lost a couple of those games, and I insta-queued into the same scenario. You want to avoid that. Take a break between your games. It doesn't have to be much. It could be 10 minutes, maybe even just 5 minutes. But you want to avoid just queuing into the same pool of people over and over again because, again, it can, result in a favorable calibration because you might just end up getting lucky and just get the good games. It might be unbalanced games, but you just so happen to be on the good side. Maybe with an enemy team support main that was the highest rank, and then you just end up winning a couple games in a row, and you have some huge gains. But again, it's all playing the lottery. When you're playing at weird hours, when you're instantly queuing, it's all playing the lottery. And I gotta say, I got a little bit lucky, but even then, I didn't luck out completely because I went positive in my games, and I still lost about 100 MMR. Now, you could go positive and gained 700 MMR. And that all goes with how balanced the game is. Again, it's still not fair completely. I still think the system is broken, but this video is just to help you make the most out of like this kind of messed up and broken calibration system and just maximize your chance for either maintaining your MMR or gaining a little bit. Now moving on to the last and final mistake that players make, it is giving up too early. Now this is another obvious one, but I have to say it because this is also a mistake that I made during my calibration games where I just want to get them done as fast as possible. So there was like a couple of games where things just weren't going right and I just was done. I just checked out, and everyone just started feeding, and I just started AFKing because I just wanted to get my rank. But if you actually want to get the best rank possible, just avoid giving up. You know, I mean, if your whole team gives up and they just start destroying their items, there's not much that you can do. But if there's like one guy that has destroyed his items, just one guy, and the rest of the game is still going well, you know, still try. Because, again, win and losses are what matters for this ranked calibration season. So you want to maximize your wins if at all possible. And so even in a game that looks 100% lost, you know, your carry just destroyed his items. And I want to tell you a story that I just recently played a game with a Drow Ranger who literally just at 10 minutes in the game destroyed all of his items, bought sentries, and just placed them down the mid lane. And you know what my team did? We just camped behind the Drow Ranger and we just killed them every time they killed her. So, and we just ended up coming back in the game, actually dominating the game, and Drow Ranger eventually started trying again when she realized we could actually win. And we won that game. So again, you never know what's going to happen in ranked, and that was a high average game. That was like, it was a game with like IX Mike, it was like 6.5k average at least. So, especially in lower MMRs where like carry players might not be good at ending the game, they might not have proper itemization. You never know what's going to happen. This also goes with mistake number 2, which is having a bad draft. So even if you never give up, but you have a bad draft, you probably still aren't going to win the game, as your team is just not going to be able to win. But if you have a solid draft for the late game, or just a solid draft for the game in general, your heroes match up well against theirs, you're going to be able to win the game even if you had an absolutely awful early game. It also goes with mistake number 3, which is not communicating. So those are like the 3 things you actually do in game in terms of playing the game, is just don't give up. Make sure you try until the end no matter what, because you never know what's going to happen. You can still win. Having a good draft, you know, telling your team, suggesting heroes, also picking a hero yourself that you're comfortable on and that you feel like you'd have a big impact on, and at the same time also making sure you communicate all the way through your team, even if your team's having a bad game. You know, set up smokes, at least do something to, you know, put some order in your team to go for objectives, win the game in some way, you know, come back. And also the 2 things that you need to do outside the game is just play at good hours. You know, pick the best hours for you, play at hours where other people are going to be playing, so you don't end up in unbalanced games, which will maximize the calibration that you get, because you're not going to enter some insanely unbalanced game that's going to have a huge effect on your MMR, but also at the same time, you know, spreading out your calibration games, not playing them all at once, because that's going to avoid putting you in the same player pools that, you know, might include some toxic players, or just in general, who knows what, right? It might be some boosters. You don't want to end up in the same group of people over and over again. It's just going to mess up your calibration. It's just something that you don't want. It could work out in your favor, as I mentioned before, but it also could completely destroy your MMR. So that is it for the 5 mistakes that I'm sure a lot of people make. 5 very common mistakes that a lot of people made while calibrating, and it definitely will have a huge impact on your MMR if you try to avoid all of these mistakes. Thanks for watching, everyone. It's been Hachi, and also make sure you like the video if this helped you out, or if you followed my guide and you didn't lose your MMR, you maybe even gain some MMR. And also make sure you subscribe. And also I'm casting Dota Super Major later tonight, So if you want to watch some Dota Super Major Cast by Hachi, subscribe and stay tuned for the live stream. But that's gonna be it for this video. Peace out, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next video.